Hey beauties! Today we're doing a full face of MAC Cosmetics. I am showing you every step, product placement, and how I blend it all together for this flawless finish. Let's get into it. Let's start with the foundation. So I'm going to use the NC47 in the MAC Studio Fix. I apply it to the back of my hand and then I get a flat brush and just paint the product onto my skin. This application for me is the best because I get the product exactly where I want it and I have more control of it instead of using like a big fluffy brush. For my concealer, I'm going to use MAC in the shade NC35 and NC45. I put them on the back of my hand and I kind of mix them together until I get the shade that I want. So I do this method and it works out perfectly so I can have the right shade whether I'm in my summer or my winter shade. Then I'm going to take the shade NC35 right under my eyes just so I can have that bright under eye look. For my contour, I'm going to go in with the shade NC45 by itself. I'm going to do my cheekbones, the side of my nose, and then I'm going to bring some up under my eyebrows. That way I can have a contour on my eyes as well. I am not going to use regular eyeshadow. I am just going to use concealer and pressed powder for my eye look today. So I'm going on my forehead, underneath my chin, anywhere that I want that shadow to appear. So because these are all MAC products, they blend together so easily. So I just take my time and I blend it all out on my eyelid just to create a smooth base before I go in with my powders. And then I'm just making sure that I got rid of all the harsh lines on this look. I'm going in with a very dense MAC brush just to press all of the products into my face before going in with any powder. And I want to do this so the makeup could sit a little bit and it's not super wet before I apply powders to my face. So then I'm going to go in with a powder foundation. I have shade NC44.5 and I'm going to apply that with a really small fluffy brush. So I want to make sure that I set everything before I go in with a powder puff with a light brush. That way I avoid my under eye and my makeup being super cakey. This is a technique that I recently discovered and it makes my makeup so much better. So now I'm going to get a big fluffy brush and just put some more of that foundation on my face and just make sure every part of my face is set before going on to my next step. For my lids today, I'm going to go in with the shade NC35 with a little small brush, a detail brush, just so I can do an eyeshadow look. And then I always look down to make sure that it's over my crease. And that way you can see the shadow when I close my eyes. And once that's all smoothed out, I get the other side of the brush and I kind of just buff it out to get rid of the harsh lines. And then I'm going to go in with that same foundation powder and just set that concealer that I put on there. So now I'm going to go in with my bronzer in the shade Richer Boy and I'm just going to go ahead and contour my face. And then I'm going to do the sides of my nose and under my brows again and focus on my cheekbones. This is a really fluffy brush, so it's easy to blend out. And then I'm also going to add a little bit to my eyelid to kind of act like a little bit of a liner and to bring more depth and volume to my eyes. So I'm going in with a really thin brush now to just add a little bit more right above my lash line just to make it look like a liner. So I'm going to take one of my MAC dense brushes and kind of just push the product into my face. I realized with the bronzer, the dense the brush, the easier it is to just blend it all out. And then I'm going to set my face with the MAC Studio Fix and I'm going to like literally drench it. And then I'm going to go back in with a brush and kind of just blend everything out while my face is still a little bit damp. I'm going to switch back to my fluffy brush and I kind of use this as like a buffer brush just to make sure everything is just blended nicely together. And then I'm going in with my lip liner in the color Stone to outline my lips before I go in with my lipstick, which is the Marrakesh shade. And then I decided to add a little bit to my cheeks to make a little bit of blush. and I use my fluffy brush to just kind of press it into the skin and just give me like that sun-kissed, beautiful look. So now I'm going to go back in with my powder foundation, and I'm just going to use a powder puff to put it under my under eye to just really set and lock everything into place. I like to do this as one of my last steps, as like my finishing touches, just to make sure that everything is just perfect. And I really like that bright under eye look. And then I'm going to go under my cheekbones, just because sometimes when you're blending it, your face starts to look flat. So I do want to make certain aspects of my face kind of just pop out. And so I use the other side of the puff to kind of just brush the product off of my face. Once that's done, I am going to set my face again just to lock in those powders. And then I'm just going to get a powder puff, a clean one, just to press all of the products into my face. That way it doesn't move anywhere. And I notice that it transfers a lot less when you go on with a powder puff and you pick up any excess powder. So I'm going to take that stone and I'm just going to go over my lid again, and then I'm gonna go in with a MAC Stack mascara and just coat my eyes. I usually do it probably like 4, 5, or 6 times. It's not that thick, so, and it's not very clumpy too, especially with the applicator, so I'm able to like really get the product into my lashes. I'm also going to do my lower lashes, and I'm always very careful on this step, just making sure that I lightly coat my lashes with the product. This is the final look. Let me know what you think down in the comments.